All right, good morning. CQ, the old friends net. This is N4LQ. Steve in Shelby, North Carolina, calling CQ the old friends net. The old friends net's an AM amplitude modulation only net that meets here on 3715 kilocycles every Tuesday and Thursday. 3715 KC at 8 a.m. and also on Sundays at 5 p.m. on the same frequency, and every night on 160 when possible on 1864 KC. It's a great place to talk about vintage equipment and locate, buy, sell, or trade. So anybody that's desiring a check-in, please call now.
Good morning, Steve, WA4LLR.
WB4ARK.
K3OS.
WB4NKL.
Okay, saw a signal drifting past us there. This is N4LQ. Here's all that I have so far. Sort of a small group. WA4LLR, WB4ARK, K3OS, and WB4NKL, all with good signals here. Anybody else wishing to check in, call now. Well, tell you what, times are getting hard. We got an inch and a half of rain in about an hour last night. A lot of thunder and lightning and carrying on. And a little creek below us here was roaring like a freight train. Man, oh man, it sounded like Niagara Falls, and the frogs were croaking over that so loud. Just really amazing weather we're getting here, and they can't seem to predict it. They said there was like a 20% chance of nothing last night, and boy did we get it. So anyhow, let's see how everybody else is doing, and maybe somebody will join after this round. So Dave, go ahead and take it. WA4LLR N4LQ.
Okay, Steve, fine business. N4LQ. And the old friends, WA4LLR. Well, good signals. Everybody's sounding good up here this morning. We've got about 65 degrees and fog, but it looks like it's clear skies above the fog. We had 1/3 of an inch of rain last night. No thunderstorm, just some rain. The thunderstorms went around us. A little bit different rig this morning, running the Night Kit T150, receiving on the R100A with a little help from the SB220. Haven't had this 150 on in quite a while, so hopefully it's not misbehaving. The busy week, we started Vacation Bible School at church last night, and they're a lively bunch, so that was a lot of fun. But I'll tell you, at my age, after you've been there about 4 hours, you get home, you're ready to stretch out, but I wouldn't miss it for the world. Down to you, buddy. Hope you're doing well today. WB4ARK, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, WB4ARK. Okay, Dave, Steve, and all the rest of the people in our group. Well, yesterday was an experience. I had to go have my teeth cleaned and So I took the 98 Lumina to Charlotte, and it started missing big time. It had been missing, and I thought I'd gotten some water in the gas, gotten some gas that had water in it. But I changed one of the coil packs on the car, and it seemed to help. But then yesterday it got worse. And on the way back, I needed to stop by the electrical distributor place. I cranked the engine up after coming out, and it didn't want to fire. It backfired through the intake, and boy, it was going. It was murder trying to get that thing to run. It was skipping and bucking and carrying on. Finally, I got it to stabilize a little bit, got it in gear, and got out of there. And it skipped and carried on all the way home. So it was a trying day yesterday. So I've got a few things to try, and hopefully that will fix the problem. Well, yesterday, the weather, we had 0.17 inches of rain last night. You would have thought we would have had a gully washer, but not so. We started off about, I don't know, maybe 8 o'clock. Or maybe, no, it was before 8. It's probably about 7:30. We started getting some thunder. And then it died down. So about 8:30, thunders came back again. So then it died down. So about 9 o'clock, same thing. Thunder off to the west. And then it would die down. Then it's about 10:30, started thundering again. And I'm telling you, it just kept on and kept on. Not a drop of rain. And I think when I went to bed, it was about 11:30. It was still thundering. So, off to the west. I guess that's where Steve was getting his rain. But we weren't getting anything. So, that was the situation with the weather here. Looks like that's about it for right now, so we'll send it over to K3OS, WB4ARK.
WB4ARK, K3OS. All right, buddy. Morning, everybody. From wonderful, wonderful Hickory. Let's see here. I don't know what I did. I was working on the Gonset receiver here. I've had an intermittent with it. And while it seems like I fixed the intermittent, what has happened is that I've lost audio output and it's distorting a little bit. So, typical fashion, whatever I did, maybe it was in the IF alignment, although the signal levels are where they ought to be here. So, I don't know. I'll have to have at it again. But I'm copying everybody okay. Buddy, sorry to hear about your car. I do understand all that. I had to take my boat in for service. My engine was having trouble. I had to limp it up about 3/4 of an hour to where we get it serviced here on the lake. And say, here you go. She was missing all over the place. So I understand that. It's just awful when that happens. So that's it. Running the ICO pair and the Gonset G66 receiver. Interesting about the receiver, by the way. I was doing some, as I say, I was doing some work on it, and found out that I don't have the right set of schematics. I have an A version, and all the schematics that are around, I have the B. Not that that's going to cause me an issue, I don't think, with this particular thing, but B has another tube in it, and I do not have I don't have the schematic for the A, which is apparently what I got. Nor can I see that, nor can I find it. But again, I don't think that's critical. I gotta go back over and see what I did here. Anyway, over to Cliff. WB4NKL, K3OS.
Okay, Gary, K3OS, WB4NKL. Well, the transmitter sounds good, if that's any consolation. Good signal. Buddy, sounds like your car runs like my lawnmower did when I tried to convert it over to diesel. That was a interesting experiment. Let's see, got about 68 degrees here. No rain in the last little bit. We'd had an inch and a half of rain out of the rain gauge there yesterday morning, but haven't had any here since. But it's rained around us here. Did get the yard mowed yesterday in between all that. And Dave, the T150, I think it sounds better here than it did on 3885 for some reason. The audio sounds a little better on this frequency. Maybe it's the way you had it tuned or something, but it sounds real good. And yeah, good luck keeping up with them kids. That's a big energy level difference there, between them and us, seems like. So send it on around, small group, N4LQ, WB4NKL.
Okay, this is N4LQ. Do we have any more check-ins?
W4MEC.
Well, I was wondering where you were. Okay, Charlie, go ahead and turn it back to me.
Okay, and that's weird. Good morning, everybody. Just down a little bit here. Our plate current was approaching 270 milliamps. That's weird. Let's see. Kay got here about the time you finished your intro, so didn't miss anything. Did I say W4MEC? Yeah, okay. And we got about 68 degrees here, clear, and we didn't have any of the weather that you had, Steve, but like Buddy, I heard all the thunder. And about 9:30, I went outside, and it was spitting rain. I looked up, and it was only partly cloudy, actually stars, kind of fluffy clouds. I said, where the rain's coming from? It must, sometimes it'll blow in like that from somewhere, so it must have been raining, somewhere in that general area, and the wind was just spitting, pushing it over here a little bit, just a little bit to know that, hey, where's this couple drops coming from? So she either had a squirrel peed, but they were all asleep by that time. So. And we had a fairly nice day yesterday. I should have cut the grass yesterday, but it was too for me. It was just too darn hot for the push mower. So I said, I'll catch it tomorrow. Maybe it'll be a little cooler. We'll see. But anyway, running East Kit Tribe today. I was going to go out in the shack and fire something up other than this, but I was too lazy. Yeah. So maybe next time. I want to try that STR274N BC396 transmitter, but I'm pretty sure it's going to need an amplifier, so I need to figure out how to tie a relay in to key the amplifier. So we'll figure it out one of these days. N4LQ W4MEC.
You wouldn't need an amplifier today. Boy, I'll tell you, everybody's 30 over. N4LQ, any more check-ins? Okay, yeah, I kind of like to hear that. I can't remember last time I heard an ARC-5 or a command set, or those things have a lot of different names, don't they? Let's see here. I rolled the garbage can out to the street about 8:30 or something. It was, of course, it was dark, and I could see lightning flashing off in the distance. Couldn't hear any thunder. And it reminded me of when I was a kid, and I was told that was heat lightning. And heat lightning wasn't real lightning. It wasn't storming anywhere. It was just the heat that produced that lightning. And so from then on, you know, for many, many years, I would see that and say, oh, that's not going to storm. That's just heat lightning. I wonder if anybody else has ever heard of that. But it was really storming somewhere, and eventually it crept its way up to us, and it wasn't on the radar. I kept checking the radar, and there was nothing anywhere. And then all of a sudden, I started hearing thunder, and I looked at the radar, and there we were sitting in the middle of a big yellow patch on the screen. I said, well, I'll tell you what, these storms, they just form, and they're totally unpredictable. Scattered thunder showers, as they call them. Well, Dave, your T-150 sounds good. I would not have guessed it was a control carrier type of rig, and I was watching the S-meter, and I've got the AGC on slow, so I didn't see any fluctuations. I think what I'll do is I'll flip it over on fast and see if the S-meter pulsates, but I would never have known it was that type of rig, and it actually sounds pretty good. So maybe not quite as good as your Babcock, but very good. Yeah, let's see here. And Vacation Bible School. I remember that. I went to that every year when I was a kid, and I remember making popsicle stick baskets, and boy, I was proud of that thing. Brought it home and shellacked it, and that thing sat around the house for many years. Plus all the good stuff I learned too. And let's see, Buddy, okay on the teeth. I hope they came out better than your Lumina. That was a good engine. I guess you had a 3.8 V6 in that thing, and they had finally perfected those things by 1998. And yeah, that shouldn't be too serious. Sounds like something common to all the cylinders, and does sound kind of electrical. So let's hope it in the fuel pump or something like that. And ICO sounds good, Gary. And Cliff's comment about converting a lawnmower to diesel, I wonder if that was intentional or accidental. So, all right, let's go around again. It's a good morning. WA4LLR, N4LQ.
Okay, Steve, N4LQ. The old friends, WA4LLR. Yes, sir, I've heard the old timers talk about heat lightning many times. And you were talking about, or Charlie was talking about the ARC-5 transmitters. We used to have a regular check-in that ran one all the time, the Earl of Pauline. He had a great sounding ARC-5 transmitter. Miss hearing him on. Buddy, sorry about the car. Man, I hate it when that happens. Gary, I think your ICO is one of your better sounding transmitters. Sorry about the boat engine. Cliff, thanks for the signal report. For some reason, it tunes up better down here than it does at 3885. I don't know what the issue is there, but it likes this frequency better than 3885 for some reason, and I'm running both frequencies through a tuner, and the transmitter should be seeing a dead match, but I don't know what the difference is. And Charlie, your Indian tribe sounds good, so that's great. Steve, you were talking about the popsicle baskets. For some reason, there was a period of time when I was a kid that one of the projects that Bible school always turned up was a cigar box with uncooked macaroni scattered around and glued on the top of it, and then the whole thing sprayed with gold paint. And I thought that might have just been unique to the church that I was in, but I talked to several people that made the same thing, and I don't know where that came from, but it was it was an interesting project. Let's see, space weather today right now seems to be pretty calm. Sunspot number's 125, solar flux index is 148, and the K is 2.3. A few things from this day in history. On this day in 1885, the Statue of Liberty arrived in the New York harbor. On this day in 1775, the Battle of Bunker Hill took place. On this day in 1940, France signaled the intention to surrender to the Nazis. On this day in 1972, the Watergate burglars were arrested. And on this day in 1994, O.J. Simpson led the L.A. police on a low-speed chase. I remember watching that. And on this day in 2015, the Charleston church shooting took place, where 9 folks were gunned down at a Bible study. So that's about it for this day in history. So we'll go on back around. WB4ARK, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, WB4ARK. Okay, Dave. Everybody has a very strong signal. Well, the band is very quiet today compared to Sunday. It's very quiet. And everybody's signal is strong, very audible. Gary, your transmitter sounds just fine. So I don't think you have to do anything there. And Charlie, yours sounds good. Dave, yours does. Of course, Steve does, and I don't know what Cliff is running today, but it sounds just fine. Well, my car has had some issues. It's got a 3.1 engine, and so I won't go into the details about the engine, but anyhow, I changed spark plugs on it about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and that's a real chore on the backside. It is murder trying to get to those plugs. You've got to take the braces loose on the front of the engine, let the engine drop forward, or spring forward, or pull it forward actually, and then you can get to the plugs back there, but they're still very difficult to get to. So I got those changed, and they really did need it. Had almost 100,000 miles on them. So yeah, and then I thought that might help a little bit, because the missing wasn't quite as significant as it is right now. It's getting much worse. So I think it's an ignition module, and I've got another one I'm going to stick on there and see if that doesn't cure the problem. And so we'll go from there. I had a call that went bad about 3 years ago, and it was a similar situation. It was missing, but it wasn't missing like it is now. So we'll get it squared away. I hope it's not anything like a crankshaft sensor or something like that. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that it's on the top side here and not internal. Well, kind of internal. Well, let's see. Yeah, beautiful blue sky today. Sun's out. Might get the grass cut today. That needs to be done. with all this rain that we've had in the last week. So anyhow, our transmitter is still holding up. It's running this same power it's been running, and all the meters look nominal, so hopefully it'll continue to run just fine. Still looking for the B model with the crystal control. We might find one day. We'll just keep our fingers crossed that we do. So anyhow, I know Cliff's got one, and I think there's another one out there somewhere that I've worked on. I don't remember. I don't think Charlie's is. So anyway, that's all it is here. So we'll send it on over to Gary, K3OS, WB4ARK.
All right, buddy. WB4ARK, K3OS. Yeah, good copy all the way around here. Just looking at my watt meter. 55 watts it says. All right, I'll take it. Well, the receiver intermittent seems to be gone, but the audio output is really low and distorted, so either I messed up the 256IF alignment, which is the only thing I touched, aside from some soldering and doing some other things. I think it was some cold solder joints in here that was giving me some of this intermittent. It was mechanical in nature, as we have all experienced, I'm certain. Heat lightning, yes. Used to call that when you had, it was cloud to, hot summer night, it was cloud to cloud, and that's it. That's the way at least my my family referred to it. And buddy, I hate to tell you, timing belt sounds, unfortunately sounds, if there's a couple of teeth missing or something like that, depending on how that belt is done, which is not good, but hopefully it's something else. Over to you, Cliff. WB4NKL, K3OS.
Yeah, K3OS, WB4NKL. Yeah, I've heard that heat lightning term too, and that was my understanding. It was the cloud-to-cloud stuff you see of the evening, and just keeps the sky sort of lit up. Steve, that diesel fuel experiment was accidental. I tried to blame it on my wife, but I guess I did it. I won't do it again. I got the paint can out and painted the diesel can real good, so I won't get them mixed up again. And I was just glad it didn't, work the other way around. I don't think it would have been too good on my little. I got a little Ford diesel tractor. If I'd put gas in it, it'd probably been a lot more serious than what it was in my lawnmower. The lawnmower just drained it all out and put some fresh gas in it, and it was good to go. Let's see. I've got some command sets that I have run. It's been a while since I've had them on. Got a homebrew plate modulator on it. I like to fire those up. They're sitting in a rack here beside of me. I'm running the BC610 today, and it wouldn't be too hard to put the command back in line. And I need to get the ART13 back in line again. That's been a while since I've run that, but still on the 610 right at the moment. So go ahead, Charlie. W4MEC, WB4NKL.
Okay, Cliff, WB4NKL, and the group, W4MEC. Let's see. Yeah, heat lightning, I heard the same thing as a kid. That's what my dad called it, and you couldn't see it. You just saw the flashes, and it was always, seemed to me, it was orange, always in the evening, and kind of lit up the sky orange. Didn't hear the thunder, and but I know there is cloud-to-cloud lightning, but I don't know if it was just a distant thunderstorm or what, but yeah. Well, buddy, that sounds like the Chevy Monza. That was the first engine where they, after the fact, they realized that they could not change the spark plugs on the back of the motor. Had a transverse mounted V6, and at the time, Chevy's solution was you took it to the dealership and they drilled 3 holes in the firewall so they could get the extension, socket extension and plug wrench through the firewall to the plug so they could take them out that way. So I guess in that version of the car they decided instead of cutting holes in the firewall, well, let's just make it harder and have to undo these brackets and tilt the motor forward and all that stuff. So, but hopefully they made it so you could get to those brackets and all that and do that. I fought a very similar problem with my daughter's Ford Mercury, and it turned out to be a very similar thing, that no one had ever changed the back plugs because you had to take off the intake manifold on that Ford Mercury. So I finally took it to a shop. I didn't know that. I actually took it to one shop, and they say they changed the plugs. Well, they didn't. They changed the front 3, but not the back 3. And that and a one bad coil pack, and it started running smooth again. But the main thing was having to remove the whole intake manifold and the fuel rack and all that to get to the darn rear plug. So Ford was just, the engineers at Ford were just as sorry as the engineers at Chevy, or maybe they fired the engineers that designed the Monza and sent them over to Ford, and they did the same thing. So you would think that would register with an engineer designing a car there. That I always thought that one of the things they ought to do is when an engineer gets done and they put the first prototype on the floor, they ought to make them work on it just to show them how crappy they design the ability to maintain something. So, but they don't seem to have done that yet. N4LQ, on the ARC 5, you know, Cliff has run one, and W4. I'll have to think about this one in a minute. He used to run one all the time, but hopefully I'll get this one going here and see what it sounds like. The N4LQ W4 MEC.
Okay, W4 MEC N4LQ. I've got several ARC 5 transmitters here that I'm trying to get rid of. They're the 5 to 7 megahertz type, and one receiver that is what is it? I don't know, low frequency job, whatever it is. But they look pretty original. Still got the 1625s in the transmitters and good and dusty inside. Anyway, let's see. Well, okay, on the heat lightning, I think what it is just lightning that's over the horizon, and the sound is too far away to hear, and you can't really pinpoint where it is. But now that we have the radar, I can look and see where it is, and it's actually there. It just doesn't make it sometimes. Another thing we had when I was a kid was rain crows, and they make a sound like woo 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 or something like that, you know. And actually, what they are is pigeons or doves, but they sound like they're way far away. But I was told that means it's going to rain. When you start hearing the rain crows, it means it's going to rain. And later on, I figured out that what they're really saying is, I wish it would rain. Let's see. Chevy's, a 3.1. I bought a new Chevy Citation when they came out in '79. It came out in the summer of '79, but it was called the 1980, and I was really hot to get one, and it had a a little bitty V6. I think it was a 2.7 liter, and boy, that was a sweet engine. But the plugs were the same way. You could not get to those back plugs at all on that thing. But it was an interesting car. Fuel pump went out real quick on it. Had to have that changed. But that was back in the early days of electric fuel pumps, and they were not too reliable back then. Let's see here, and what else did we have? Buddy, your modulation is showing way over 100%. Look like about 150 or more sometimes, and that's pretty good level of modulation. And yeah, I forgot to turn the AGC off on Dave and look at it, but it sounds pretty steady. It's funny how using an amplifier as a linear for those things for control carry, it seems to do away, or to some extent at least, with the fluctuating the RF level as you talk, and it almost sounds like plate modulation. But it's funny. I'm listening on this SDR, and I am live streaming it. It'd be fun if you get a chance to go listen to yourself, and you can hear all the anomalies if there are any. And I think the T150 had a little bit of hum, and Cliff's rig, the BC610, had a pretty good little hum to it that shows up. The hum really shows up on this thing, and it's partly due because of the subwoofer and the wide bandwidth on the audio, and I can hear stuff like that. On the 75A4, I would never notice it. And Dave, real fine on the cigar box. Now, I hadn't heard of the macaroni covered cigar box. I don't know about that, but sounds like a good idea. Maybe we should try that sometime. Anyhow, so I guess we got time for one more good round. Do we have any late check-ins?
KZ4 Bravo.
All right, KZ4B. Hello, John. Go ahead and turn it back to me.
Okay, N4LQ in the group KZ4B. I tried to check in yesterday, Sunday, and I could not hear Charlie at all. I mean, he's booming in today as usual, but Sunday I could not hear him at all at the beginning, and I only could barely copy him at the very end. So since he was net control, I did not make it. Speaking of bad fuel pumps, I had an MGTF with an MGB engine in it, a hot-rodded MGTF, and it's the best chick magnet I ever had. It would actually pick up girls with me in it, which is saying something, and it really did work. And but it had a Lucas fuel pump, and it had points, and that sucker would crap out, I mean, regularly. It was terrible. And I remember I went to NC State, and on numerous occasions I would have to, you could take the hood off and put it behind your seat, and I'd take a stubby pole, and with a weight tied on the end where I could smack the fuel pump as I'm going down the road to make it work. So I surged all the way from Raleigh back home, and from home to Raleigh, smacking that fuel pump. And they were insanely expensive and super unreliable. Shifting gears, talking about the cigar box, my dad told me that when he was a kid, there was an ad in one of the boys' magazines that said you could send off for a way to save your hair. And people that did it got a cigar box, an empty cigar box, and it said, "Save your hair in the cigar box." What a ripoff. My dad didn't. My dad had a full head of hair, so he didn't have that problem. But he had plenty of friends that got suckered on that deal. So I have held it long enough. Glad I got here on the tail end. Conditions are quite good today. I managed to cut the grass yesterday before the monsoon hit, and it was quite a monsoon. But it was only the 6th day after I had cut it previously. So I am a slave to the yard, and I only cut the front. They want $100 just to cut my front, and not the lakeside. So I'm a slave to the yard. So back to you, Steve, N4LQ in the group, and thanks for calling the net. Everybody have a good week. KZ4B clear. About listening.
Okay, buy a lawnmower. Before you go, tell me, were you supposed to cut your hair off and put it in a cigar box? And what good does that do? Over?
None. It's a ripoff.
Well, I don't understand why anybody would think that would even help, I guess for baldness. Anyway, it's N4LQ one more time. Any other check-ins? All right. Well, that beats all I ever heard. Let's see. All right. Well, I guess we'll make this our 73 round then, and hope everybody has a good day. And I don't know what's predicted as far as storms go, but actually it doesn't matter because it'll do what it's going to do. They don't seem to be able to predict anything these days. So appreciate everybody checking in today, and the conditions were absolutely amazing, and hopefully they'll be that way tonight on 160 also. And try to join us. We've just been really slow here lately. So with that, over to Dave, WA4LLR, N4LQ.
Okay, N4LQ, WA4LLR. Yeah, I think I understand what John was saying. That the ad simply said save your hair for X amount of money. And those that sent the money, they responded with a cigar box and said, save your hair in this box. Oh, mercy. That's pretty good. It's kind of like the guy that put out an ad and said, this is your last chance to send $1 to this post office box. And I forget how many $1,000 he got before the post office shut him down. Rain crows. The old-timers in this area used to call a pileated woodpecker a rain crow. But I've heard that expression all my life. And Charlie, the call that you were thinking about was W4ZEQ, Earl, that ran the ARC 5. And the reason I can remember it, I can remember Jim, DEE, always calling him zebras, elephants, and quackers. Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm going to bail. I've got to get ready for a funeral at 12 o'clock. So, gentlemen, have a good day. 7-3, God bless. Steve, thanks for calling it. Lord willing, we'll see y'all on Thursday. So, WB4ARK, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, WB4ARK. Okay, Dave. Well, good luck on doing the funeral. I hadn't said anything about lightning. All the research that I've done over the years, I've got some pretty old books on lightning, and It's amazing what the old people thought about lightning. Yeah, my father used to call it heat lightning, and it definitely had its day. Yeah, they didn't really know a lot about lightning, except it struck things, set things on fire, would kill you. But and every time the lightning rod salesman would come through the neighborhood, there'd be a bunch of houses with lightning rods on them. But not everybody. I cut my modulation back a little bit, Steve. I wonder if you've noticed any difference. So it's still bouncing up to the point where it's supposed to go on various enunciations. So I guess I'm hitting at least 100%. Anyhow, the Arc 5, I have had my Arc 5 on before, several times. The modulator, and it's a full exact replica of what was used. I built me a interface unit to run my microphone in, so that I could use a D104 mic with the unit, and it works pretty well. I'm able to load up to the full power that the unit puts out, and I'll put it back on again. I've got it sitting in our bonus room, so I'll fire it up again sometime and run it. It sounds, I've got some pretty good reports on the audio. So we made a few changes in the modulator to not improve, but keep the modulation correct. Changed several capacitors that were defective, and that's usually what the problem is, a resistor here or there. And so, John, it's good to hear you call in this morning. Sorry about your grass mowing issue. I've got to get mine done today. I've got to do some weed eating too, which I've put off several times, and it's getting up pretty high now. So I've got to get that done. But the older you get, the more stress it puts on your body. So, but we'll have to get out there and get it done. So today may be mowing day, plus the car. And thanks for the input on the car. It could be. It's got 3 coil packs. Got each coil handles 2 cylinders. So it could be one of those. I've got one left, and one was changed 3 years ago, and I changed one, but it didn't seem to help. So I could take the coil that I pulled and put it on in position 3 and see if that helps the issue first before changing the unit. So anyway, we'll give it a try. So anyway, we'll say 73. Thanks, Steve, for calling the net, and hope everybody has a great upcoming week. And over to Gary, K3OS, WB4ARK.
Hey, buddy, WB4ARK, K3OS. All right, all good. Yeah, I think I've heard your Arc 5 on before. Always, everything you got sounds good. Buddy. Oh my gosh, everybody's sounding really good. Little QSB starting to set in here, but nothing better. I did finally fix the receiver here. It turned out that had some wrong wiring on my speaker muting on the back end. I took it off, and all of a sudden the receiver came to life. But I went to hitch it back up, and sparks flew for a little bit there, and I can't figure that out. But I'll go after the net, see if I can't figure out. I've got it's just an open relay that shorts the speaker out. So how can sparks fly? So there's got to be some stuff going on inside the power supply, which is where the speaker leads come from. I may have to take a look at that and wiggle some wires and get them squared away. But anyway, the receive sounds good, and actually a little bit better since I did the alignment. Love the way the G66 sounds. I put a new speaker in it a long time ago. The other one had the paper had deteriorated, so I got a hold of some speakers and kind of made a little one fit in the power supply cabinet where the original one was, and man, it sounds really good. Enjoying listening to you guys this morning. Best of luck with the car, buddy. All right, over to you, and good morning, Charlie. Over to you, Cliff. Thanks for calling it, Steve. Yeah, we've had an off and on rain here like crazy too. I think like everybody else. Oh, and Cliff, just so you know, this is the transmitter that I got from you, and the other chassis that none of us could get working, I gave away this past weekend to somebody who wanted it for decoration purposes. There you go. WB4NKL K3OS.
Okay, Gary, K3OS, WB4NKL. Well, it sounds good. I remember, I seem like I remember there's B+ on that terminal strip on the back of the Gonset power supply. I think that's the way they muted it. They broke the B+, so you may be getting into some of that if you're seeing sparks. It'll light you up if you get a hold of it too. 73s, and thanks for calling it, Steve, and good to hear you, John. Sounding good. Everybody's booming in, and band's in pretty good shape here today, seems like. 73s, and try to catch everybody Thursday, if not before, they're on 160. Let's see, I was turning it to Charlie, W4MEC, WB4NKL.
Okay, Cliff, W4NKL in the group, W4MEC. Yep, Dave, you're right, ZEQ Earl. That just slipped my mind there for a minute. I could picture him, I could see him, I could see his shack, I could see everything, but I couldn't remember his call. So anyway, let's see, what else did I got here? The other thing about the heat lightning and the rain crows was the circle around the moon. And I know up here it meant that it was, I guess it's going to snow, but in Florida, circle around the moon, then you count the stars inside the circle, and that's how many days it was going to rain. And it was pretty darn accurate. I remember that. So 160 last night. There was too much QRN here. I didn't want to mess with it. And let's see. Last comment yesterday. My SCR setup, the 274N, you know, that equipment used a screen grid modulator. It only had a single 1625 in a modulator. But what I've got is the Arc 5 modulator, MD7, which is a plate modulator. So in order to make that work, I have an interface between the modulator and the transmitter, which is where my meter is located, which was causing me problems with the reverse plate and screen leads. And it makes all the connections to make it work there. So I also ran an extra line out because I've got a T18 Arc 5 transmitter, the one that goes down to 2 megacycles, and I figured I could probably boost that or goose it down to 160 meters. So I ran a totally separate line out of my interface for the future point of hooking that Arc 5 up, and also put a switch on there where I could either key that 274s or a single Arc 5. So anyway, I'm prepared, but I haven't proceeded with that. But everything's working. I wish I could get the receiver going. I've got the full setup with the receivers and the remote tuning unit and tuning cables and everything, but the receiver's a little more involved with all the bad caps it has in it, and I did the same thing, buddy. I went through the modulator and placed all the bad caps, and amazingly, all of the caps in it that were the ones in the cans, like the 3.05 in the can, there was two in there that are 1.2 microfarads. And I checked every one of those things, value and leakage, and they were all perfect in the modulator, but not so most other places, especially the ones that are 3.05s in the can. Just about every one on those is bad on any rig you open up. So even my transmitters, both of them, it has one mounted to the back wall that goes with one can with 3 caps in it, and every one of those was bad, so that solved that problem. So anyway, I hope to get that going. Gotta have her come up with a way to key an amp, and when I push to talk, and which led to me working on all those carbon microphones yesterday to find ones that worked, and amazingly they look good on the scope using a test setup, but and with good output, but when you put them on the rig, a couple of them didn't sound that good. One of them was pretty darn low, so which is odd, but it could be they're the wrong ohms. They make carbon mics went from like 25 ohms to 150, and if you got the wrong ohmage, it can make a big difference. So 7-3 all. We will look for you on Thursday. I don't know I think John left, but I'm going to turn it over that way just in case he's hanging on. KZ4B in the group, W4BC.
Okay, W4MEC in the group, KZ4B, fine business, Charlie. Good copy. Steve, if you've got an ARC 5 that was called a Q5, or the receiver is a very low frequency, it's like below 200 kcs up to 500 kcs, I would be interested in the receiver. If I heard you correctly, and if you don't have it, then so be it. I don't need the transmitter, but the Q5 will work pretty well, and I might try to use that with a PMR 7 or 8 to narrow things up a little bit. We just about overslept this morning. We were sleeping so well. I've been staying up real late at night watching TV that I miss in the evening, being the news junkie, because I've been working on the broadcast transmitter, and I'm hoping to have that thing mostly behind me by the end of the summer. It's that steep a climb, but so I can maybe get on this winter. I need to hurry. The clock is ticking, if you know what I mean. So back to you, Steve. Thanks for letting me in, and conditions are as good today as they were bad on Sunday. N4LQ in the group, KZ4B, clear but listening.
Okay, John. Yeah, this is the 190 to 550 KC. So I'll set it aside for you next time you're here. You can have it. And so yeah, next session I'm going to tell you about the house behind me. They're remodeling, and the $23,000 commodes they're putting in it, Toto commodes, that they are Bluetooth, remote control, heated water, and they play music. So kind of interesting to see this going on. Anyway, thanks everybody for checking in. See you tonight at 8 o'clock on 160. Hopefully the static won't be too bad, but it probably will. But we have survived so far. So good morning. This is N4LQ, closing the net.
Steve, if those Toto commodes have hot water, does that mean that they can create hot shit over?
I'll tell you what, they heat the water and the seat, and of course you have to have power. But take a look at them. Let's see. Let me get the name of the TOTO, and I've seen those at Home Depot, and they do make cheap ones, but these were actually delivered by the factory. Yeah, NeoRest, the Toto NeoRest, NeoRest. Take a look at some of those. The cheap ones are like $8,000, and then 10, and then the top of the line is $23,000.
Sounds like I couldn't even afford to take a crap. But anyway, that sounds pretty extravagant. Everybody have a good week. KZ4B clear.
It's N4LQ clear.